Our first award, I'm going to wait for San Francisco Bay Area family here. Shh. That's better. So our first award tonight is the Voice of Truth Award, an honor reserved for those whose words, work, and courage light the way for us all. This year we honor my dear sister, my comrade, Kat Brooks. From co-founding the Anti-Police Terror Project to amplifying voices on law and disorder, including mine, Kat has challenged power, uplifted communities, and made sure that the people most impacted are never silenced. She reminds us that truth is not just something we speak, it's something that we live. Please put your hands together for Kat Brooks, this year's Voice of Truth Award recipient, a champion for the Palestinian people before it was convenient, and someone who continues to be not only an ally to our community, but an accomplice to the fight for a free Palestine and a fight for freedom for all people. Give it up one more time to Kat Brooks. Congratulations,
I'm afraid to put that up. Assalamu alaikum. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much, CAIR, San Francisco Bay Area. I am so honored. I'm so humbled. When I got the email from Zara that they wanted to give me this, I was actually on the BART coming from San Francisco back to Oakland after shutting down Alex Padilla's office, demanding an arms embargo right now. And I burst into tears. Speaking truth in the face of injustice. When my daughter was in middle school, she called me in the middle of the day and she said, "Mom, I got in trouble at school today." I said, "Okay, what did you do?" She was in her US history class and the lesson of the day was on US democracy. This is my daughter we're talking about. So she raised her hand. Excuse me. Democracy in the United States is a lie. You can applaud that. She was 12. And the teacher tried to argue with her, but see, my kid is rooted in political education and study, and since she took her first breath to speak, she was taught to speak truth in the face of injustice, so she wouldn't back down. She gets kicked out of class. She let me know that the teacher was going to call me. "Oh, goody," I said. Let her call. And the first thing I said to that teacher is, "Where is the lie?" Democracy in America is a lie. If it wasn't, then when the majority of Americans said to what is in theory our government to stop sending bombs to Israel to be dropped on children's heads, when tens of thousands of us, millions of us poured into the streets to demand an arms embargo now, our elected officials would have listened. That's what happens in a democracy. But that is not what happened here. As my sister mentioned, I host a radio show called Law and Disorder, and on that show every Monday for the last 2 years, I've hosted a full hour called Palestine Post. Palestine Post was born out of my absolute complete disgust with mainstream American media coverage of October 7th and Israel's immediate genocidal aftermath. It was born after watching Israel's communications minions skillfully manipulate the truth. It was born as I watched so-called liberals, so-called left-leaning mainstream media try to convince me that a genocide was justified. It was born as I watched Americans buy the lies. It was born because I was desperate to do something and telling the truth was the one thing I could do. Monday mornings are my refusal to silently be gaslit, regardless of the consequences. I do my show from my living room, and one morning, and it's an early show, and one morning I was getting ready to do the show, and I looked at my door and I thought, wow, Kat, we might have actually entered the time that they may actually kick your door in and drag you out of here. And I thought about it for a second, and I took a deep breath, and I said, as my kid often says to me, "It is what it is." And I got on the air. Who am I to cower when there have been more truth-telling journalists murdered in Gaza than in any other war conflict in the history of ever? and journalists keep showing up to tell the truth about genocide? Who am I to cower when Palestinian children look their oppressor in the eye and say truth, knowing that they are facing certain death? What I do is not special. It is my obligation, my mandate as a human being. As Assata taught me, it is my duty to fight for our freedom, our collective liberation. Black liberation and Palestinian liberation are inextricably tied together because none of us are free unless all of us are free. I know these are scary times to be truth tellers, but trust it's scary if we do not. There are more of us than them. They cannot disappear us all. They cannot cage us all. They cannot kill us all. They're telling me I gotta wrap up, and I am in just 2 seconds. I'm an organizer. So before I go, I got 3 calls to action. 1, in Oakland, we are demanding an arms embargo now. Tell Oakland leaders to stop allowing parts for weapons to be shipped to Israel. 2, in San Francisco, tell the DA to drop all of the charges against the Golden Gate 26 and end all calls for restitution, and tell her now. And 3, I'm an actress and an advocate, and I do radio for a public radio station, but I got $100 on your million, so give what you can, please. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so, so much. I love y'all.
Give it up one more time to Kat Brooks. Woo! Next up, we have our Defender of Truth Award, honoring someone who never hesitates to challenge injustice and defend the most vulnerable. This year, we honor Ramzi Kassem, a lawyer, professor, and tireless advocate who has spent his life challenging injustice at every level. From representing Mahmoud Khalil and Rumeysa Ozturk to winning landmark victories before the US Supreme Court, Ramzi shows us that what fearless advocacy truly looks like in the courtroom, in the classroom, and in community. I've known Ramzi for over 20 years, and I've said this to you many times before. The reason why I'm fearless and I stay the course is because I know if one day something happens to me and I get picked up, I'm gonna have the best legal representation, and the leader of my legal team is gonna be Ramzi Kassem. Because Ramzi isn't just supporting vulnerable international students, he's also represented detainees in Guantanamo Bay. Ramzi believes that everybody deserves due process and nobody is discardable. So tonight, a fierce Arab Muslim brother who's been at the forefront of defending the most marginalized, most dehumanized people in our society, and winning often. Please help me welcome to the stage our dear brother Ramzi Kassem, also the head of CUNY Clear. Many of you may have heard about CUNY Clear, out of our City University of New York, creating law enforcement accountability and responsibility, and again, an incredible human being, and we are so lucky to have him in our community. Give it up one more time to Ramzi Kassem.
Assalamu alaikum. And thank you to Sister Linda for this very generous and gracious introduction. I was reading something recently by James Baldwin, and he was writing about the importance of finding an honest place to stand. And I think that's a call for all of us these days. We all have to find an honest place to stand. And alhamdulillah, there's no shortage of models for us in our own communities. We have Sister Zahra Billu, for example, who is a treasure, a gift, not just to the Muslims in the Bay Area, but to the Muslims nationwide and even to the Muslims worldwide. What she has done here with this CAIR chapter, with her team, with all of you, is an example that we can all follow of someone who has found an honest place to stand and has remained there, unwavering. There's, of course, Sister Linda Sarsour. I'll tell you one story about Linda. One time she and I were walking towards an organizing meeting, Midtown Manhattan. And a man, a stranger on the sidewalk, points at her and walks up to us and says, "Oh, you're Linda Sarsour, aren't you?" And she looks at him and doesn't respond because I guess this has happened to her so many times. And then he proceeds to say some things that I won't repeat here today. But our sister just walked on because she's found her place to stand. She knows the path that she's on. She has her eyes on the prize, and she's not going to let any of the haters distract her from that. And that's a model for all of us. Imam Siraj, who earlier so ably coaxed you out of your money, is another example for all of us. At a time when it would have been unthinkable to challenge the NYPD's Muslim surveillance program, Imam Siraj was the first to raise his hand and to say, "I'll do it." And to put forward Masjid al-Taqwa, a pillar of the Muslim community in New York City and nationwide, as the very first plaintiff in that lawsuit, and we had the privilege at CAIR of representing him. And so there's no shortage of models that we can follow as we try to find an honest place to stand. The important thing in this moment is to do that. I think if any of us here believe that we can duck and hide in this moment where we're witnessing a steady slide towards authoritarianism in this country, if anyone thinks that they can just wait out a genocide, then they are seriously deluding themselves. At best, what those institutions, what those individuals and organizations are doing is they are simply negotiating a place for themselves in the queue to the slaughterhouse, to the deportation place, to the deportation plane, or to the prison. And so it's going to look different for each and every one of us. I don't presume to tell you exactly what to do, but each of us in his or her lane can find an honest place to stand and to push back. It might be writing an article, it might be taking up a case, it might be convincing a neighbor, and I hope that those of you who have not yet donated to an organization like CAIR can do that tonight, because that's also a way to find an honest place to stand, to take that stand, and to help out those in need. And so with that, I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. CAIR is such an important pillar in our community. It is a central institution, so I'm grateful to all of you for being here to support CAIR, a longtime partner of ours, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you, inshallah.
Give it up one more time to Ramzi Kassem, Esquire. Thank you, Ramzi, for all the incredible work that you do. Our next award is the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I actually wondered why this brother hasn't gotten every Lifetime Achievement Award in the Muslim American community. And I think one of the reasons is that people look at him and probably think he's 45 years old and he has a long life to live, and he's too young to get a Lifetime Achievement Award. But just so you know, it's his Palestinian genes. We can't help it. Allah blessed us with great skin. We just look young for our age. We can't help that. Tonight, we are honoring a scholar, a teacher, and movement builder whose work has shaped generations and strengthened our communities. Tonight, we celebrate none other than our very own Dr. Hatem Bazian, co-founder of Zaytuna College, a longtime UC Berkeley lecturer. He has inspired countless students and organizers with his knowledge, his guidance, and unwavering commitment to justice. A pioneer in Islamophobia studies, Dr. Bazian has built institutions, launched groundbreaking research projects, and mentored generations of leaders, all while speaking truth in the face of injustice. It is my great honor as a Palestinian American myself to honor Dr. Hatem Bazian tonight with CAIR San Francisco Bay Area's Lifetime Achievement Award for a lifetime of courage, vision, and principled leadership. And may Allah bless him with a very, very long life and When I think about one day traveling to a fully free Palestine, I imagine that trip with you, Dr. Hatem Bazian. MashaAllah, congratulations.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is really with deep humility that I take and accept this honor from CAIR, an organization for decades that has embodied the prophetic command to speak the truth, even if it be against yourself. To speak truth in the face of injustice is not an act of convenience for us. It's an act of faith. It is to understand that justice, adl, is not optional in Islam. It is a divine command. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى. Allah commands to justice. We have no choice but to fulfill the command of Allah, just as we fulfill the command of Allah to pray. It means standing firm when the winds of fear, smear, and power and white supremacy ask us not to speak truth to power, but actually negotiate for a tawaf around the White House. For me, this journey has always been about holding up the mirror, asking America to see itself truthfully. From the classroom to the streets, from Berkeley to Gaza, I've witnessed how narratives are shaped to erase the oppressed, how colonialism, Islamophobia, and racism are rebranded to maintain power. Speaking truth to power means refusing the erasure. It means insisting that Palestinian lives are sacred, that Black lives are sacred, that immigrant lives are sacred. It is not a choice. We have to fulfill our command to treat all lives as sacred. Since the year 2000, Watson Institute said that approximately 4.5 million Muslims have died in the so-called war on terror. Muslims have been terrorized, yet they are labeled to be terrorists. That is about rebranding and shaping a different narrative in the world. We have to insist that Muslim lives are sacred and that our humanity is not conditional on political approval or media filters. As Gaza was bombed, starved, and turned into rubble, our universities issued no statements on the genocide. Universities issued no statements on genocide. Universities issued no statements of genocide. Our politicians offered no justice or relief for the victims while expressing sympathy to the perpetrators. Our media spun no outrage, only context for the Israelis. Both sidism. Let me be very clear. There is no true sidism to genocide. There's only one side. Either it's you are speaking on genocide or you actually stand aside at this moment in history. Truth-telling is never easy. It comes with surveillance, with labels, with doors closed, grants canceled, speaking invites canceled, and you could ask Zahra how many of those come about. All of this might be high price for us to pay, but the price of silence is greater. The price of silence is greater. The price of silence is greater. As the Quran declares, all you who believe, stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah, even if it is against your own self. Today, as we witness the unimaginable suffering from Gaza to Sudan, from the Congo to Somalia, from refugee camps to streets here, where Muslims are profiled and policed, the moral task before us is clear. We must speak, organize, and build institutions that refuse to bow to fear. That is our role today. I want to conclude. CAIR has been at the heart of that struggle. It has defended our civil rights, confronted Islamophobia, and reminded this nation that Muslims will not be silent, They will not be silent participant in their own marginalization. But CAIR cannot do this work alone. So I ask you, support them, stand with them, strengthen the infrastructure of truth and justice in our community, because liberation, spiritual, moral, and political depends on it. You have to invest in CAIR, not to beg you, but to invest in CAIR, because that is our strength and that's what makes our community. In the end, truth has a way of enduring. Empires will fall. Empires will fall. Zionism will fall. Palestine will be free. Lies collapse. But truth anchored in justice and compassion remains. May Allah grant us all the courage to keep speaking even when our voices tremble, and the wisdom to know that every word uttered for justice echoed for eternity. I'll conclude. History's arc bends not by apology or silence, but by action. History's arc bends not by apology or silence, but by action. Let's get up and make action and transform this world and make a free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, and let's make history. Jazakumullah khair.